Gotham Knights. This is a game that I have not had the chance to play. Obviously, I don't have a PlayStation 5. First of all, let me just say this. I think not releasing this game on PlayStation 4 was a big mistake. Looking at this game, I don't know why it was needed to be next-gen exclusive, why it needed to be exclusively on the new hardware. Because there's nothing in this game that screams out to me, hey, there's stuff in this game that would be impossible for the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One to run. And I'm just like, there's nothing in this game that would suggest that. In fact, if you look at some of the comparisons between Gotham Knights and Arkham Knight in some ways is more, from a technical and graphical standpoint, is actually superior, which is kind of embarrassing. Now, graphics aren't everything. I'm not saying that. And I've seen a lot of people who have played Gotham Knights, and, I don't think it compares to the Arkham games, but does that make it a bad game in and of itself? Not necessarily. There's some things that I do like about it. But like I said, there's nothing in this game that I look at. I'm like, I can see now why it had to be next gen exclusive. I understand it now. I just think this was a huge mistake. I think they overestimated how many people would actually have the hardware needed to play this game if you make it next gen exclusive. I just don't understand why this couldn't have been on PlayStation 4. If it was on PlayStation 4, I probably would have picked it up. If not day one, at least within the first week, I probably would have picked it up. And, checked it out, played it and everything. I would probably had fun with it. But they decided to go the next gen route, and I think that's really hurt the game, in my opinion. The other thing I think hurt the game, and this is something that I have talked about, on occasion before, is that this game is not in the Arkhamverse. Now, originally, I thought it was in the Arkhamverse. I thought for a while it was in the Arkhamverse, and to be fair, I wasn't really keeping up with this game as much as I should have been, probably. But, I was actually informed by my subscribers that it's not in the Arkhamverse. And again, this game has come out, and just like I'm confused as to why this game wasn't on PlayStation 4, I'm also confused as to why they decided not to put this in the Arkhamverse. Now, yes, you would have had to make some story changes for it to fit into the Arkhamverse, but not as many as you think. This could have easily fit into the Arkhamverse. This premise, this idea for this game, the idea that you have Nightwing and Batgirl and Red Hood and Robin taking over for Batman after his death, that premise makes way too much sense to not be in the Arkhamverse. You have Batman, dying or disappearing, it's kind of left ambiguous. Point is, he's out of the picture at the end of Arkham Knight. And so, we know Jason Todd is still running around. Obviously, Jason Todd was the Arkham Knight in that game. Spoilers for a game that's, I don't know how many years old at this point. Jason Todd's in that universe. Dick Grayson's in that universe. Tim Drake is in that universe. And yes, you do have Barbara Gordon. Of course, she's Oracle in the Arkhamverse. She's not Batgirl. She was crippled due to what the Joker did to her and the events of the Killing Joke. But you could find a way to heal Barbara. You could find a way to get her back to where she could be Batgirl again in that universe. For God's sakes, we know the Lazarus Pits exist in the Arkhamverse. Put her in a Lazarus Pit and heal her. There's ways you could have made Oracle into Batgirl again in that universe very easily. So the idea that, these characters step up in the Arkhamverse to carry on Bruce's legacy, to carry on his campaign against crime, it makes so much sense as to why this should have been in the Arkhamverse. And I think that's something that really has hurt the game. I think that's something that has really added to enhance the criticisms of the game is that, a lot of people like myself were going into this thinking it was part of the Arkhamverse. That this was coming after Arkham Knight, and this was the Bat family stepping up now that Bruce Wayne is gone. And obviously that's not the case, but it should have been the case. I think it just makes way too much sense. And I feel like the reception of this game has been very lackluster. There's some people that really like it, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad game in and of itself, but the comparisons between it and the Arkham games is going to be there. And I think not being in the Arkhamverse has done some damage to this game. And I do wonder, is this going to cause WB Games to go back and to kind of just ignore this continuity, ignore this new universe, and return to the Arkhamverse and continue from there? Are we going to get that Damian Wayne game? Excuse me. Are we going to get the Damian Wayne Batman Beyond game that was rumored to take place in the Arkhamverse, or would have taken place in the Arkhamverse, and was in development? There was concept art for it and everything that was released. It looked really, really cool. But it was supposed to take place in the Arkhamverse. It was supposed to be in the distant future where Damian's introduced. He's already grown up. He's taken on his father's mantle. He's become a Batman Beyond type of character. Are we going to see them maybe go back and revisit that idea? Perhaps. I'd be all for it. I wanted that game ever since the concept art was leaked for that game, ever since we got confirmation that game was in consideration. I've wanted that Damian Wayne Batman Beyond game for a very long time. I would love to see them go back and revisit that idea, because that concept art was way too cool. I would love to see them go back and to really explore that idea. Go back to the Arkhamverse. I think that's where this stuff does best. And the weird thing is, apparently the Suicide Squad game, which I have zero interest in, I don't know. I just don't care. I'm kind of over the whole Harley Quinn thing. I'm kind of sick of the Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad kills the Justice League or whatever. Apparently that is in the Arkhamverse, if I understand it correctly, which is what the hell? That doesn't fit the tone of the Arkhamverse whatsoever. That really doesn't make sense to me. If you're going to have any game be in its own continuity, it should have been the Suicide Squad game, and Gotham Knights should have been worked into the Arkham continuity. That's what makes the most sense, honestly. So it just seems kind of backwards what WB has done with this. So hopefully they get their act together. It's not too late. Get their act together. Go back to the Arkhamverse, and let's continue exploring that, because that's honestly much more interesting. Gotham Knight should have been in the Arkhamverse. It should have been a follow-up to Arkham Knight. But it is what it is. So